there as we speak. So, again, what does Sanctuary provide us? Because the training, because in each and every different room, one provides a living quarters, which again doesn't make any sense for us because we have a house. So again, we can strict that from what we need. So we can delete that entire room now. Amazing. Okay, so what about the forge area? As I said, I already figured out how I can make that work in a different location. Boom, done. That area has been stricken out. The office area. Do I really need it? I have an office area in the lodge. Boom, done, stricken out of there. Now we just have the training room and the main hall. Do I need the training hall? Not really. Because again, there's nothing to occupy it. So bam, stricken from there again. Okay, so now what's left is the main hall, but I don't need a main hall to nowhere. So we can remove that again. And now we literally just found a way to systematically remove Sanctuary from my mod. Where I was doing everything in my power for 2 months procrastinating about like fixing a tiny little corner of the area to say, oh no, Sanctuary has a purpose. It has a purpose. I just literally just removed it within 5 minutes. Like, I completely de-escalated it from my own mind by listing off what it doesn't provide me. And I literally gasped at the fact that, like, I literally just added a cell into my mod that literally does nothing. Like, oh my god. I felt like so foolish in doing that I literally just stopped. Do I still have a version with Sanctuary? Yes. Can I add it back in? Of course I can. So in case I find something else, I can literally add it right back on in like nothing happened. But right now, that's not really my point. Like, that's not really like what I was trying to do in the first place. So yeah, so while I've been working on that, I've been working on other things as well. We're going to be getting the castle back into it. However, I'm going to be changing my idea of it. Sort of. It's more so that like we're only going to see it for the first ever videos of the Oblivion modded playthrough. But after like the first ever session or something like that of the new version, the castle will be technically removed. Mostly just be removed for construction purposes only. Just so that I can work on other things. And then while we are working on, well, I'm technically working on both. Well, I'm technically working on both the hideout, the lair, and the castle all at the same time. We're going to be slowly reintroducing those items slowly. So, like, let's say tomorrow I'll be working on the hideout. Yeah, like tomorrow I'll be working on the hideout just so though like it'll get done, and then next week it'll be lair, and then the week after that it'll be the castle, and then the week after that it'll be the area in which the castle stands on. Like, that's what I mean though. Like, between those three, that's how I want it done. While I want these three while I want these three areas to be finished, I'm not going to go and dive headfirst into just throwing it wherever I want. I want these areas to be perfect. Also, another thing that I did is that if you don't know, the island in which that I actually have everything being on uses rocks for the terrain rather than actually using the terrain itself. I found out that there are some rocks that I have been using that actually didn't need to be there. So while this could help with frame rate issues and such like that, because now there's no longer too many instances of these similar rocks there. Well, I also technically did add a few more, technically, just to help round off the island a little bit. In the end, I made the island much shorter in terms of how many rocks it uses, but I also made it bigger because in the physical location of each and every one of these rocks. Now, mind you, there is going to be, from what I remember, mind you, I have to actually do one of them. There are 3 rocks, I believe, that I need to script in. Not really script, but like pretty much give them the ability of being physically removed based upon certain things. I'm going to be doing my key hunt for the island because I think it would be kind of fun to do. So, while technically Sanctuary will be removed from this obvious point, but for what it was that in the beginning of what I was planning on doing was that I was going to make a treasure hunt uh, pretty much just to make the whole getting to certain areas much difficult. So like you couldn't access like the lair and hideout right when you leave the Imperial City sewers and go to Anvil. The only thing is that like in order for you to enter those areas now, you have to go and enter the lodge. The lodge gives you a key that makes you access one area. Then through that one area, you have to go to the other area, and then so on and so forth. Yeah. So the other thing that I've been also been trying to do, and right now I am sort of torn between, and maybe I'll talk more about it about like during the Oblivion series in general, was that I have currently been working on getting those set items that were from one of my original mods that I was working on. I've just been pushing myself in order to kind of get it to fully work for my mod, and I'm currently at the process of just finishing it off. Of course, if you don't remember what those are, back during early, I want to say 2019, 2020, give or take. I mean early 2020, like January kind of thing, not like during the time when I started the channel. When I started the channel, that's when I was working on the Dark King stuff. But anyway, so during that time, I made several sets that I showed during the first ever channel special during I think 2021 during the first anniversary of when I made that Oblivion video about it, showing off the different versions. I had one called Dremor's Overhaul. I had one called I think it was Castle Trilesia while somebody's being very loud outside and being very annoying. And I had what was the other version? It was Castle Trilesia. Those were the 3 versions of the mods that I was. No, it was Castle Trilesia. Then it was Battle Butler was the last one. Before I just adopted into the current version of whatever I was working on right now. And for that very reason, though, like for those who don't know, the Castle Trilesia one has like a bunch of items that when you equip them, they function just like the Crusaders relics, or if you equip them, they give you spells pretty much. And if you unequip them or drop them, they remove those same spells. Anyway, so for what I ended up doing is that I ended up changing my mod from that into having the Dark King's items, and then later on I wanted to make it into a bound spell, which ended up spiraling into our current version, pretty much, of just getting it to work perfectly fine, getting it to have cool functionalities. Anyway, so pretty much to bring it back on topic, I'm moving those items back in. The difference is that, like, a lot of the spells that these different sets have are identical to each other, but they have different editor IDs. So I know one of these uses the Drake Knight and Armor model, which I've named Drax, and another one uses the a Lich King mod that makes you pretty much look like the Lich King from World of Warcraft, and technically Warcraft 3, I guess, in a way too, maybe. I don't know. So between like those two ones, I've just been sorry, I'm losing track of mine because there's something very loud outside, which is just throwing my brain to going like, can you shut up, pretty much. Anyway, yeah, so while those two sets are done, they both pretty much share the same amount of, like, they share a same spell, but the difference is that their spells have different IDs. So, like, I think for the Lich Kings would be called, let's say, DMR Lich King's Boot Effect 1. But let's say that, actually, the best one to say is the Greaves, because the Greaves make sense. So I'll change it to Greaves. So the Greaves, for all of the armors, had the Unlock Very Hard spell. So they could open up any lock, pretty much, that doesn't require a key. It's a very useful spell. Now, instead of making this into a system in which that all of them share this one spell, so it makes it easier on the ESP file, I decided to just keep expanding it over and over again. So each and every one of these characters' sets of Greaves had this unlock spell that you can access. Mind you, it was easy to make these duplicates, but why didn't I just make them shared? The reason why was because of one very crucial thing, was that I wanted to make sure that, like, if I wanted to edit the spell to fit, like, let's say this one set, so let's say for Drax's version of Unlock, I wanted it to heal him for like 20 points of health. It would only affect Drax's version rather than affecting everybody's version. But now I've changed that whole sort of thing. So now each and every one of them has to have now each and every one of them is going to have shared spells. But of course, since most of these spells were a part of the Dark King's armor before, now I'm in the boat of, do I want to get rid of the Dark King spells but have it so that, like, it works with this new whole system? Because if I do, that means I have to change the Dark King's armor and the Dragon Lord's armor. Now, mind you, the Dragon Lord's armor is going to be changed, maybe, to fit this new system. I'm thinking if I should change the Dark King's ones. Now, something that I was thinking of as well was that maybe I would change the Dark King's, like, spells to fit the new motif, but still keep them as, like, separate from the rest. So what I mean by that is that, like, the spells themselves pretty much display the name of the spell itself or display what the spell actually does. So instead of just saying, like, Dark King target spell 03, it'll start with, well, I don't really say Dark King, I see DK for Dark King. So DK target unlock. So that tells you that it's a target spell. That also tells you that it's a unlock spell at the same time. So that's pretty much what I've been thinking of, is like, do I want to change it to that? If I do, mind you, that is a lot of scripts that I have to change to affect those kinds of changes. But would I be better for it because it would fit the new system quite well, or would it just affect me in a way that like it's just too much of a hassle to deal with. So pretty much right now, most of those items that I've talked about for the Oblivion mod now work. It's just I got to make sure that all the meshes and textures work. I had a few problems I think earlier today in which that some of the items were bugged or glitched, but I found out that a lot of it was just because like the meshes and textures that I was working on weren't properly re-implemented. So like the whole male and female thing. So like I didn't properly re-implement them. I think the meshes, like some of them, the meshes were there, but the textures were not to properly map them. So I was able to properly do that. But for everything else, though, like I'm just trying to make sure that everything works. Right now, I know they all work for a female character because that's what I've been testing on. But I got to check to see if everything works for a male character now. So I'm going to be using my Oblivion modded playthrough character for that. So hooray. So yeah. So again, those are the kind of things that I've been working on in my own mind. I've been trying to get everything to work perfectly fine, and then by that logic, I've been breaking my own mind with it. So hopefully by the end of this weekend, both the Organics will be done, and so will my Oblivion mod, or at the very least, my Oblivion mod will be tested and ready to go. So the only thing that is left is just to script out the items back in because they don't have scripts anymore. I will script the items back in order to work like they should from the originals. So yeah, so I'll see you guys next time for some more Sercacraft.